Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are pulling the thread on something, utterly essential, yet usually ignored by almost every small business. We're talking about that often cheap, often forgotten little plastic box blinking away in the corner of the office, your Wi-Fi router. We're diving into the hidden financial and security risks for small businesses, SMBs, that are currently running their entire digital life on consumer-grade, home-grade Wi-Fi equipment. I kind of like to think of it this way. That router, it's a simple tool designed for one thing really, watching Netflix, checking email in your living room. But when you try to make it run an actual office, manage dozens of devices all at once, handle customer traffic, and secure sensitive data, it doesn't just fail. It actively becomes a bottleneck and, frankly, a massive liability.
That analogy is spot on, actually. And it's exactly why this deep dive is so crucial. Our mission today is pretty laser-focused. We are going to unpack the specific failure points of these home routers when you put them in a fast-paced business environment. And crucially, we'll give you a quick, actionable diagnosis tool like a 4-point checklist you can run right now. And we'll define exactly what business-grade Wi-Fi actually means, but, without all the confusing industry jargon.
Okay, good. So let's set the stage first. Let's really establish the core difference between these two environments, because the sources we've looked at, they make the contrast really stark. In a home, right, you've got maybe, 5 or 6 devices, bursts of streaming, usually low concurrency.
Yeah.
And if the Wi-Fi drops, you just hit restart, no big deal most of the time.
Yeah. Exactly. But a small business environment, it puts fundamentally different demands on that same hardware. Totally different. You've got dozens of concurrent devices, laptops, point-of-sale systems, network printers, maybe security cameras, all active, all at the same time. You have constant high-stakes video calls, SaaS apps running all day, sometimes heavy customer traffic using guest Wi-Fi, and, crucially, you have non-negotiable requirements for security, maybe regulatory compliance, auditability. The stakes are they're simply higher. And that little router, it was never engineered for that kind of load. Never.
All right, let's dig into the core mechanics of failure then. The source material we reviewed pulls out this, is a pretty devastating list. 7 specific ways that consumer router is actively sabotaging your business operations and your security posture. If you're experiencing what we might call Wi-Fi weirdness, these are definitely the immediate warning signs.
Okay, let's start with the operational headaches. Number 1 is inconsistent coverage and dead zones. Big one. Home routers, they're typically single access points, right? With pretty limited range, weak antennas usually. So what happens? Staff move from their desk to a meeting room, and that crucial Zoom or Teams call drops immediately. Yeah, and that isn't just inconvenient. Those are lost minutes, lost momentum. Honestly, it's lost money.
Okay, wait, but you mentioned shared passwords earlier. Isn't having just one shared Wi-Fi password, I don't know, convenient? Why do the sources flag that failure number 2 as such a massive security headache?
Right, the shared Wi-Fi password and zero accountability. It seems convenient, but that convenience turns into serious risk, fast. Think about it. When an employee leaves, you have to change the password for the entire business, which is a pain. Or worse, sometimes businesses just don't. And that ex-employee might still have access.
Yikes.
Plus, you can't trace who accessed what or when. There's just no record tied to a person.
Which flows right into number 3 then, no identity-based access.
Exactly. This is a key capability that's almost always missing on consumer gear. Instead of that one shared key, proper business systems use a protocol, it's often called WPA2 Enterprise, that forces every single user to log in with their unique work credentials. It ties the Wi-Fi key directly to the person, not just the device or a shared secret.
Ah, okay. So without that.
Without that, you can't enforce individual policies, and most importantly, you can't cleanly revoke someone's access instantly when they're off-boarded. It's a huge gap.
Got it. Okay, and nothing kills productivity faster than a choppy video call. So that's failure number 4.
That's number 4. No app priority or quality of service, QoS. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
You're closing the deal, pitching a client, and suddenly your video freezes into this terrible pixelated mask.
Yeah, the worst.
And it's often because someone's cloud backup just kicked in, or a massive Windows update in the background is hogging like 90% of the bandwidth. Consumer routers, they just can't prioritize those critical work apps like Zoom or Teams. Everything gets treated the same.
Right. Okay, moving on to network hygiene. We hit a massive security flaw with number 5. No segmentation. This is that single flat network problem you hear about.
Exactly. Think of it like a business campus where, sensitive data is stored in the main server room.
Yeah.
But the front door opens into one big shared common hallway. That's your flat network. Guests logging onto your Wi-Fi IoT devices like that visitor's phone or that new smart TV in the break room, they live in that same hallway as your sensitive business laptops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a single infected device, maybe a guest's phone with malware, can potentially see and infect the rest of your critical systems because there are just no internal barriers,
Yeah.
no walls.
Okay, that's scary. And the last 2 point directly at the weak defense posture itself, right? Number 6.
Number 6 is weak or static security. Basic firewalls on home routers and sporadic, usually manual updates. They're simply insufficient today. Attackers evolve daily. Their methods change constantly. And home routers, they rarely keep pace with modern malware, phishing attempts,
You're
exploits.
just not designed for that kind of threat landscape.
Not at all. And finally, number 7, no resilience. When your main internet connection, your ISP, glitches, which, let's be honest, they do, there's often no automatic failover to a backup connection. Your business just stops. And even locally, they lack protection against simple things like denial of service or DOS attacks or even what are called LAN flood events.
LAN flood. What's that?
It's basically when the local network gets overwhelmed by useless internal traffic, maybe from a malfunctioning device or even a simple attack. It effectively shuts down everything inside the office, even if the internet is fine.
That point about resilience, dropped calls, slow Wi-Fi, it really hammers home that these aren't just technical annoyances. They become immediate financial headaches, which is why we need to quantify this pain point. What are the real measurable business consequences here?
Oh, the cost is absolutely real. Think about just the accumulated time lost. All those redials after dropped calls, re-uploading large files that failed, portal timeouts when you're trying to access a critical app. If you're paying staff, say, $30 an hour, every 5 minutes of that kind of downtime adds up incredibly fast across the team.
Yeah, easily.
Then there's the more subtle but really damaging erosion of customer confidence. Constantly having to ask, can you hear me now? During a crucial support call or a sales pitch.
Right. It makes the whole business look unstable, unprofessional even.
Exactly. And the security risks we talked about. They're magnified.
Yeah.
On these flat, unprotected networks, security incidents spread much, much faster.
But let's talk about audit gaps. Why do the sources suggest that the inability to log activity properly affects things like, say, getting business insurance or meeting compliance rules?
Well, because accountability just disappears. When you can't show who accessed what resource and when, or prove that you immediately revoked network access upon termination, you fail basic audit requirements. This impacts both your internal accountability, like who deleted that important file, and your ability to satisfy those cyber risk insurance questionnaires.
Ah, the insurance questionnaires. They're getting really common, aren't they?
They're becoming pretty much mandatory for every SMB. And having poor Wi-Fi security is a big red flag for insurers.
Okay, so to help you, the listener, diagnose this right now, maybe before you even think about calling an IT team, we've synthesized a quick self-audit checklist from the sources. Something really practical you can use today.
Yep, 4 simple checks. First, the SSID check. Do you have only one main Wi-Fi network name, one SSID for everyone, staff, guests, maybe even those IoT devices, with no separate isolated guest network?
Okay, next, the password policy. Is there one single shared password that is known to all staff? And maybe, is it written on a sticky note somewhere near the router?
Third, the roaming test. Try this. Start a critical video call at your desk. Now, walk over to the meeting room, or maybe the warehouse floor. Does the call drop? Does it stutter badly or force you to manually reconnect?
And finally, number 4, the identity and logs check. If a key employee were to leave right now, this second, could you revoke just their Wi-Fi access in a matter of seconds without changing the network key for everyone else?
And related to that, can you actually see activity logs tied to that specific person or their specific devices? Or is it all just anonymous traffic?
Okay, so what's the threshold here?
The threshold is pretty clear from the analysis. If you answered yes to 3 or more of those items, you are almost certainly running consumer-grade gear, and you're likely feeling the pain associated with it, even if you haven't put your finger on why things are so flaky.
Okay, so if that checklist basically shows we're broken, what is the fundamental definition of a truly business-grade setup? How do these solutions directly solve those 7 points of failure we identified?
All right, let's define the solution. It really starts with robust infrastructure. First, coverage. Instead of one weak box in the corner, you implement what's called mesh coverage. This means multiple smart nodes or access points working together under one single unified Wi-Fi name.
So you don't have to switch networks as you move.
Exactly. It enables seamless roaming. That call never drops when you move from the front office to the back room.
Okay, huge improvement. Now let's tackle accountability. We established shared passwords are a massive risk. So, access control.
Access control means using those per-user Wi-Fi IDs, that WPA2 enterprise protocol we mentioned. This capability eliminates the shared password entirely. It means offboarding is clean, it's instant, and it's secure. You disable their account, their Wi-Fi access is gone, period.
But that sounds complicated, maybe overkill. For like a tiny office of 4 people, is the added friction of per-user logins really worth the trouble?
That's a common question, but yes, it absolutely is. Because that office of 4 is just as vulnerable to a disgruntled former employee or just human error as a team of 40. And honestly, the friction is minimal if the system is cloud managed, which most modern business systems are. It's often easier to manage than constantly changing a shared password. The benefit isn't just security, it's about streamlined management. You change one login in the central system, maybe your Google Workspace or Microsoft 365, and it syncs everywhere, not changing the password on every single device in the building.
Makes sense. Okay, third was prioritization.
Third is prioritization. Business-grade systems let you set app priority, QoS, based on purpose. You tell the network what's important. Voice traffic, video calls, your critical ERP or CRM system, they get bandwidth first. This ensures smooth customer calls, reliable app performance, even during peak network usage. No more pixelated freeze-ups because of a background download.
And for security, you mentioned built-in protection. How is that different from just antivirus on my laptop?
It's crucial. This means the network itself is actively blocking threats before they even reach your devices. It's like having a bouncer checking IDs at the network door, not just hoping the person inside behaves. It blocks bad links in emails, known phishing sites, malware downloads, and prevents infected devices from phoning home to command and control or C2 servers.
So it stops threats earlier in the chain.
Much earlier. And then we must fix that flat network problem. Segmentation is mandatory in a business context. This is like putting up digital firewalls between different types of traffic on your network.
Creating separate lanes, like you said?
Exactly. You isolate staff traffic, guest traffic, and maybe IoT traffic onto separate virtual lanes. This ensures that a visitor's potentially compromised phone or that new smart camera you just installed can't even see or talk to your crucial business laptops or servers. It's like having separate locked rooms in your building instead of just one big open hallway where everyone mingles.
Right, that makes total sense. And finally, resilience.
Resilience. This includes those crucial local DOS protections we talked about to stop the network from getting overwhelmed internally. And very importantly, automatic failover to a secondary internet connection if your primary line glitches. That could be a second ISP line, or increasingly common, a 4G or 5G cellular backup.
So downtime becomes seconds, maybe minutes instead of hours or potentially days.
Precisely. Okay, now, we really need to address 2 common pushbacks, 2 myths that the sources clearly debunk.
All right, myth 1. We're just a small business, no one targets us. What's the truth?
The truth? Automated attacks don't care about your size at all. They scan the entire internet constantly, looking for the easiest target. Low-hanging fruit. If your router is old, easily exploitable, or hasn't been updated in months.
You're the easy target, regardless of size.
Exactly. Size is completely irrelevant to the bot scanning the network for vulnerabilities.
Okay, and myth number 2. Our antivirus software is enough protection.
Yeah, do hear this one a lot. Antivirus is important, absolutely. But it's the last line of defense. It means the threat is already on the machine trying to execute. Nowadays, threats increasingly enter through other vectors, malicious links, click via email, compromised websites, vulnerable IoT devices that have no antivirus. You need those network-level controls, the segmentation, the DNS filtering, the traffic inspection to stop issues much earlier in the attack chain, to bounce threats before they even land on an endpoint. Okay, so how do you actually upgrade? The path is practical, and it really shouldn't feel overwhelming. It all starts with assessment. Step 1, map needs. Simple stuff first. Determine your current headcount. Think about near-term growth. Identify those floor plan problem spots you found in your roaming test earlier, and list your absolutely critical must-have apps. Zoom, Teams, your specific point-of-sale system, your CRM, whatever keeps the business running.
Right. And a huge highlight from the source material was the focus on identity. So, step 3 highlight, identity. What's the action here?
The action is you need to prioritize issuing those per-user Wi-Fi IDs, preferably using a cloud-managed service like Radius, often integrated with your existing user directory, and immediately create distinct roles, staff, guest, maybe an IoT role, so you can apply different, stricter policies to each group. Guests shouldn't have the same access as staff, period.
Makes perfect sense. And security needs to be integrated at the network level, not just bolted on. So, step 5, highlight protection.
Yes, protection. Practically, this means enabling DNS filtering specifically for malicious domains and known phishing sites. That's your network bouncer checking website IDs. And furthermore, adopting DNS encryption. You'll see acronyms like DNS over HTTPS or DOT, DNS over TLS. This secures your web requests so attackers, or even just snoopers, can't easily spy on what sites your employees are trying to reach. It adds a layer of privacy and security.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean? I think the final takeaway is pretty clear. Business-grade Wi-Fi. It's an essential utility. It's like electricity or water for a modern business. It's not some luxury expense reserved only for big enterprise clients. It drastically reduces that Wi-Fi weirdness, those frustrating drops and stutters. And it provides measurable security and uptime results that directly protect your bottom line, your data, and frankly, your professional reputation. This deep dive really shows us that simply switching past those consumer-grade, home-grade limits is probably one of the simplest, most impactful ways to protect your time, your customer trust, and ultimately, your revenue.
Absolutely. And here's maybe a final provocative thought for you to consider, something that connects to a more forward-looking aspect of network defense that the sources touch on. They highlight that using those encrypted DNS profiles, DOH or DOT, allows the business to extend its network protection policies onto employee laptops and phones, even when they are outside the office walls.
Wait, so the protection follows the device?
Exactly. So what does it mean for your business when your core network security, that filtering and protection, follows your key devices wherever they go, ensuring the same level of safety whether your team is working from a cafe, a hotel, or their home office?
Wow, that's a serious level of consistent protection that consumer gear just absolutely cannot touch.
Mm.
Well, we definitely encourage you to run that quick audit checklist we provided earlier and start exploring the specific benefits we discussed. Seamless coverage, per user access control, built-in network protection. It really does make a difference. Thanks for diving deep.